Hello traders, day trader Matt here, EminiTradingPit.com, and I wanted to record a video of the trading room today. The trading room was a lot of fun. Our first trade was a stop out, and I want to talk about that. Our second trade was a no fill. I want to talk about that a little bit, and then we actually had a pretty decent day. If you look at this, we had 5 trades. We were 4 for 1 and pulled 42 points out of the market. Right now it's 11:07. We closed the room around 11. That's totally okay. I want to talk about that a little bit as well, because I know some people out there, they feel that they have to trade for the entire time. It's like if you work for a company and the guy says, okay, well, you did enough, you can go home early. How many people are going to want to go home early? When I was younger and I actually worked for people and had jobs, I sometimes would want to stay and get overtime, and other times I'd be happy. I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll go home. In this case, it's the same thing. You However, in trading, you can lose money and you can make money. So you can actually lose money. Whereas in a job, you get paid your hourly wage or your salary, and that's what you get. You don't get any less, but you don't get any more unless you're able to do overtime or get bonuses or something like that. So that's what trading is. Trading, you can make money, you can lose money, and that's why a lot of times, if I had a good day, it doesn't matter. You can leave. And that's also part of focus and awareness. Stuff like that also comes into play. You're focusing for 2.5 hours, and you have to focus it's a deep focus. you know uh, some people make trading look easy out there, and it's not easy. But anyway, let's get into what we actually did on the day, and then I'll talk a little bit more about what everything else. So firstly, the market gapped down on inflation number. Different news out there. Inflation's the lowest since February. Some people were saying that inflation is very high, which it is. So you have to take things for what they are, not for people's what like analysts' perceptions are. Like the person who writes for blah blah blog, I could really care less about. The overall perception of what I think is happening, I do really care about that. And but anyway, let's get into things, and I can talk about everything else afterwards. So price gap down, opened right here, went down, went up, came down, went up, and it's kind of chopped around a little bit. Well, I decided I wanted to be long. Price moved up here, and I was looking at a long at 35.14, which is right here. And you can see price came down, and it came down quite a bit past there. So I got my 2-point stop out. It is what it is. After I took that 2-point stop out, I was like, okay, well, price is coming lower. I'm going to throw in an order, and I threw it in at 35.08 half. 35.08 half. And you can see price came down to a low of 09 half. So it came within 1 point. Obviously, it has to trade through or just trade really fast to that number where it does trade through briefly, but not a lot, and you do get filled. One of those scenarios has to happen, and usually it's trading through price, which would mean 08 quarters would have to trade. Anyway, no fill on that. So first trade was a stop out, followed by a no fill, and then price started to work its way up. So what do you do in that situation? Well, it is stressful because you did get your first stop out, and then you didn't get filled. That can definitely be a stressful event. Getting stopped out can be stressful, and then getting a no fill right afterwards can be stressful, and then those two combined can be even more stressful. It's definitely something that can play upon your psyche. However, you got to learn, and it's a skill that you have to build. You have to learn that each trade is separate. Each trade is, on its own. It is what it is. You move on to the next one, and it's much easier said than done. Like I said, it's a skill that you kind of have to build in your brain to be able to do that. So anyway, saw price moving up pretty strongly, and I decided I'm going to get long. I'm going to throw in a long at 35.30, and it was right over here. Price did come down, got long, took partial, and then started to work its way up, and I moved my stop up as price moved up, and then I got tagged out right in here. That's totally okay. And as price came down, I knew I wanted to get long again, and that's exactly what I did. 35 quarter is actually where I got in, which was right here. As price came back down here, that's where I got long at, and I was able to take partial profits on that, and then I did get tagged out at as price came up here. It made a new high, and as it came down, I got tagged out right here at 35.48. So that turned out to be a very, very good trade. And then I kind of just watched things for a little bit. You don't always have to be in the market. You just have to know what's going on. So from here, which was at 10:06, watch things, watched, and then at 10:21 was my next trade. I got long at 48, which was up here. You can see price. I did take a lot of heat on that, and then it did pop up, and I was able to take partial profits right here, and it did come up a little more, but then as it rolled over, it took me out. So partial profits on that, and then one tick on the remainder. Sometimes it happens like that. So kept an eye on things, kept watching, and from here I knew I wanted to still be long. So as it came down, I decided to throw in an order. If it gets filled, great. If not, it is what it is. And that was at 40.5, which was right up here. Played risk pretty tightly, so got long at 40.5, took partial profits, and then as you can see, price grinded up. That's even a word. It moved up very ugly, and as it made a new high here, I decided I'm going to start tightening my stops. I'm okay with that, and it started to roll over. And that's what I was looking at as a possibility of it actually rolling over, and what would price look like. I had a resistance up here, and that's what I was really watching, like a larger resistance area. There's another one like way up, but that's what I was watching today, is that. And you can see price did actually roll over, and then it started to work its way up again. I actually got out right here as price came down. As price made a new high, I moved my stop up to 55. So as it came down, I got tagged out right over here, which is totally okay. And it turned the day into a phenomenal day. So a day where I did have my first trade be a stop out. I did have my first trade be a no fill. But then my other trades after that were actually good, and that 4-for-1 does not include that no fill. The no fill would have been my 6th trade on the day. I only had 5 because I did have that no fill, but I wanted to talk about it because it's something that I feel that a lot of people don't talk about. And when I say people, I mean other quote unquote educators online, because some of them are good and some of them are not. Just like anything else in our society, uh, some are good, some are not. Like if you go out there, doctors, some doctors are great, some are subpar, some are terrible. And that's same with everything. Basketball players, dirt bike riders, surfers, traders. It's all similar. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that. Talk about what I did. Show a little bit, break down kind of what I did and how I actually looked at things. I got that stop out, but it is what it is. Every trade is separate. So you make one trade, well, your next trade has no correlation to that. I've heard a lot of people say, like, you're on a hot streak, stuff like that. But in reality, that's not a real thing. What happens is, I guess I can relate it to baseball. Maybe you like baseball, maybe you don't, but it's a good analogy. So if the batter who's at bat, and then you have a batter who is waiting to bat. So he's in the batter's circle, is what they call it. He's in there warming up. Well, he's watching the batter who's actually at bat. And if the batter at bat gets a hit, where they hit the ball and they get on base, that batter who is in the batter's box, who's waiting to go to up the bat, has a higher percentage of getting a hit. Why is that? Well, it's because that batter who's in the batter's box is watching that batter who got that hit. He watched his mechanics, and that's what he saw. He saw get a hit. And because of that, he's more likely to get a hit. Now, the percentage isn't the same for everybody because everyone has a different hitting percentage, everybody has different skills, but it is higher than. So if the batter who's batting doesn't get a hit, then that guy in the batter's box is less likely to get a hit. So, and it's the same with streaks. If you're on a winning streak, let's say, well, that's why, is because I guess some people call it in the zone, some people call it different things, but you're watching everything that you're supposed to be watching. You're paying attention and you're seeing success. But just because you're seeing success in trading, like, there's 4 types of trades. There's the trade that makes money that is not a valid setup. There's a trade that doesn't make money that's not a valid setup. Then there's the trade that makes money on a valid setup and a trade that doesn't make money on a valid setup. So that's 4 types of trades. 2 of them are good, 2 of them are not. One of them is detrimental. You probably know which one. So if you make money without a valid setup, that is very detrimental to trading because you're not using a valid setup. You go into the market, you place a random trade that has a 50-50 shot of working out or not, and you make money and you're like, oh, well, this is easy. Next time you bet more money and you lose. You're like, well, I'm 1 for 1. Then you bet more money and you lose again. Just stuff like that. It's just not good. So that's one reason I wanted to do today's video. I wanted to talk about not getting filled. That's very important. Talk about first trade. What if it's a stop out? How do you react? And I wanted to talk about the overall day. And the overall day did turn out very, very well. Now, 42 points in one day, and this is trading 2 contracts per trade. So 10 contracts total over 5 trades. 42 points is not typical. I'm not saying that I can get 42 points every day because I don't. And you see my P&L. Yesterday I made 22 points. The day before I did very well. And I've been doing very well because the market that we're in has been very volatile, which is very good for day trading. Day trading, volatility is really, really good for day trading. No volatility is really, really bad for day trading. And you can see this range. I mean, this range is phenomenal. We had a low of 02 and we had a high of 68.25, and that's just on this chart. The market is actually going higher as I speak, but that's a very good range. Like, that's phenomenal. Over 60 points and just till 10:56. So from 9:30 to 10:56 it moved 66.25 points. Just very, very good. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Hopefully you got something out of my speech. If you did, put a comment and let me know. I would appreciate that. I also have a link to the website if you want to go there. I have a contact form if you want to contact me that way. That's totally fine. Some people don't want to be on a public forum, and I respect that. But if you enjoy the video, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. I'd appreciate that. Have a great, great rest of your day. I'll see you around the markets. Take care.